When you think of the word economy, what do people tend to think of? Dollars, GDP, taxes, stock market? I would take a guess that not many of you thought about video games. In reality, video games, especially multiplayer online games, can have rich, thriving economies of in-game currency and goods and services, just like real life. Games like World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Path of Exile, and the game that I'll be focusing on, Warframe. Warframe features 3 different major currencies: credits, platinum, and ducats. But only platinum really matters for this discussion. We'll briefly touch on ducats later, and credits technically aren't even money, so they just sorta don't matter. But first, what is Warframe? Warframe is a cooperative third-person shooter with a large variety of weapons to choose from and a lot of different characters called Warframes to play with. You play different missions to collect a large variety of materials and use those to craft new weapons in Warframes. There isn't really an end goal like most games, and I've heard Warframe compared to a step climber. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey, and there's always new stuff added to explore and new toys to play with. But for the purposes of this video, all we really need to worry about is relics. By doing normal missions, you can obtain relics, and then by doing special missions to open those relics, you can obtain different prime parts, which are used to craft more powerful versions of existing weapons in Warframes. Or, you can sell them to other players for platinum. So, what is platinum? Platinum is known as a premium currency, which means there's only one way for it to enter the game's economy, and that's with real-world purchases or microtransactions. You may be familiar with the idea of microtransactions if you've played basically any mobile game in existence. Candy Crush, Angry Birds, Clash of Clans, any gacha-style game like Summoner's War, Puzzle & Dragons, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. These games are all free to download and have in-app purchases, which is how the game can survive, and Warframe follows this exact same model. It's free to play on Steam, Xbox One, and PS4, and has in-app purchases to buy platinum or limited-time bundles called Prime Access. This may seem a bit off-topic, but this information is important if we want to discuss the economy in Warframe. Because the only way platinum can enter the game is by real money, platinum already has an inherent value, anywhere between 21.5 platinum per dollar to 15 platinum per dollar, depending on which price you buy at, with better exchange rates as you spend more dollars. Though there are discounts you can get from daily login rewards if you're patient enough to wait until you get one. Before we start talking about platinum in more detail, we need to understand what exactly money is. Economically, there are 3 requirements for something to be considered money. It must be a medium of exchange, meaning it must be an item that buyers can give to sellers that they will always want. If you had a hamburger someone else wanted and they offered you $5 for it, you would take it because $5 is always valuable. But if they offered you $5 worth of candy, you might not want that candy because you don't like candy, or you're diabetic, you have tooth problems, can't have candy, or maybe you're just a really weird person that only eats unpeeled raw whole potatoes. The fact that some people might not want that candy is what makes candy not viable as money, whereas dollars are always valuable. Money also needs to be a unit of account. Just like how this man is 4 feet tall, or this road is 6 miles long, this hamburger is $5. Money has to be a unit of measurement. If someone asked you how much that hamburger was and you responded with something like, it's probably more than a bag of candy, but less than a whole cheese pizza, I'd say it's like a bag of candy, a package of paper plates, and a fork. Or you could just say it's $5. This easy to understand unit of measurement for value is absolutely necessary for money. Lastly, money needs to be a store of value. This means that the item used for money needs to be able to be held onto and transferred into the future to purchase something later on. Something like French fries wouldn't make very good money because they get moldy and go bad. The French fries you would earn today at work would not be worth anything in 2 weeks when they're all green and gross. So they don't make good money. Dollars are small, easy to carry around, and they don't expire. While they can be accidentally destroyed, FederalReserve.gov cites that most bills last more than 5 years before they pass hands so many times that they become too damaged and broken and are eventually removed from circulation and replaced. Try holding on to your French fries for that long and see what happens. So now that we know what exactly constitutes as money, is platinum money? And on that same note, why are credits not money? Let's look at platinum first because it's far more interesting. Platinum works almost the exact same way dollars do. You can buy things from other players using platinum, and you can sell items to other players for platinum. Just like how you go to Craigslist to find someone with something you want, you would watch the trade chat channel, or use a third-party website like warframe.market to find someone who either has something that you want, or find someone who wants something that you have. On Craigslist, you would agree to meet in some parking lot and do the exchange, and in Warframe, you message the other player to say you're interested, and you meet at, typically, the seller's clan base, and then make your transaction there. You give another player platinum in return for the thing that you want, just like how you give that stranger $20 for that old radio you wanted to play with. So this means yes, platinum is a medium of exchange. Is platinum a unit of account? Yes. That's it. Yes. This item is 9 platinum. This item is 13 platinum. This item is 900. While exact prices do fluctuate, platinum is used to measure how valuable a particular item is. And lastly, is platinum a store of value? Also yes. Platinum is easy to store in the game servers and is never lost unless you spend it, and unlike dollars, platinum never goes bad and never needs replacing. So now that we see what money is and why platinum is money, why are credits not money? They are a unit of account. This blueprint here costs 20,000 credits. They are also a store of value, like platinum, in that they are easily stored in the game servers and never expire. The problem comes in at a medium of exchange. Credits cannot be traded between players, and you can only spend credits on things that remove them from the game entirely. There is no circulation of credits. Using them does not put them in the hands of anyone else. You might say, but you can buy things with them. That makes them money. For example, this item costs 5 Morphics, 6,000 salvage, 5,000 ferrite, and 1,000 circuits. Are all of these items money as well because I can spend them and they get destroyed in the creation of this item? If that's the case, then what about all these materials? Are alloy plates money? Are control modules money? Detonite ampules? Ferrite? Fieldron? Are these items money? No. These items are crafting materials used to build items, and credits are in the same category. So now that we've discussed platinum and why it's money, what makes platinum desirable? Why do people accept platinum as a currency? Platinum is known as a commodity money because it has inherent value as an item outside of the exchange of goods and services. You can buy all kinds of things outside of trading other players. Cosmetic items, Warframe and weapon slots to hold more gear, items that let your equipment hold more mods, making them far stronger than they would normally be able to be. You can even straight up buy new Warframes and weapons without having to craft them. Warning, the maker of this video does not condone the purchase of Warframes or weapons as they are not a smart use of your precious platinum. Most of these things can be obtained without platinum, but they take time, they're rare, they cost materials, and the fact that you can straight up purchase them with platinum is a huge convenience, which is what makes the platinum valuable. And just like in real life, the prices in Warframe are heavily driven by supply and demand. But before we go into some real examples, there's a couple things we have to go over. The law of demand and the law of supply. The law of demand is that as prices go up, the amount demanded goes down, which is pretty obvious. If hamburgers were suddenly $50 each, you would buy less of them. The law of supply is that as the price increases, the amount supplied increases, which also makes sense. If you own a burger shop and saw that hamburgers sold for $50, obviously you would make more so that you could make more money. But the supply end of this gets a little complicated with the Prime Vault system. Every couple of months, a new Prime Access is released for players to outright purchase or to play the game and grind out its pieces. With each new Prime Access that enters the game, the oldest Prime Access bundle that is currently obtainable becomes vaulted, meaning you can no longer grind out its pieces in-game. Only pieces that have already been obtained remain in the game, and the only way to obtain these pieces after they become vaulted is to trade players who still have them. The fact that these pieces cannot be obtained anymore means their supply is completely halted, and the number of these items slowly decrease over time as they are traded away and used to craft the thing that they are used in. And because of how supply and demand works, this drives the price up, making these vaulted pieces more valuable. Of course, not all vaulted pieces are created equally. It takes both supply and demand. So even if both of these items have low supply from being vaulted, if it has a low demand, like say this Hiko Prime, which is not very impressive and is outclassed by a lot of other very easily obtainable weapons, the price isn't going to be that high. But if it's got a low supply and a high demand, like a Loki Prime, arguably one of the most powerful Warframes in the entire game, you've got yourself a nice pile of platinum right there. Well, what if the supply is high and demand is low? That sounds like a complete recipe for disaster. What am I supposed to do with all this trash? Are a large majority of these supposedly valuable items just actually unsellable? Remember earlier when I said we'll briefly touch on ducats later? Every 2 weeks, a special trader shows up with a rotating selection of exclusive stuff. And to get these items, you can sell your excess prime parts for ducats and use them to buy from his shop. What this does is it ensures that all prime parts, even the stupid common trash that you are absolutely tired of obtaining because you just cannot get that one rare piece that you just they all have some sort of value, so these items are actually tradable. Without this system, any item that wasn't rare or part of a desirable weapon or warframe would just sit and fester in your inventory, achieving absolutely nothing. But making sure that every single one of these prime parts has some sort of intrinsic value keeps the prices just high enough where they are actually tradable, even if it's only for 2 to 3 platinum each.